All right, hey gang, welcome to Algebra. We are moving on to our last standard. We're on Unit 3, so we went backwards a little bit. This is one of those things that we would like to review right before we take a final, because we do a lot of factoring and stuff in this standard. So we are moving back to Unit 3. We're doing Standard 2A1, multiplying and dividing rational functions. If I cover up that root word of rational, if I cover up the last one, NAL, it's ratio. So we're dealing with fractions. Yes, you guys love fractions. So today we're going to multiply and divide rational expressions. We're multiplying and dividing fractions. And you guys remember how to do this stuff. This is nothing new. I'm going to do these on whiteboard stage. I think it's just going to be easier for you to follow. So if you take a look, I'm going to do example one way. And then on number 2, I'm going to do it the other way you could do it. Okay, so example 1, if we take a look, and I'm going to blow this up now so you can see this. Okay, I'm going to take 7a over 9b, and I have times 63b cubed. The first option that you guys can do is look to reduce right away. Okay, and this is what I prefer. I like just reducing. I see 63 and 9. So again, whatever's on top or bottom can be reduced. Okay, tops and bottoms reduce, but tops don't reduce tops, bottoms don't reduce bottoms. So here I have a 9 and a 63. So 63 divided by 9 is 7. Okay, 7 and 35 reduce. Okay, that gives me 5. And then I have a's. I have a squared and a, so I can reduce one of those a's. And then I have b cubed and b. I can reduce one of these b's on top to b squared. So after everything looks, I see what's left. I have a 7b squared on top. So I have 7b squared. And then on the bottom, I have 5a. Okay, so final answer for that one is 7b squared over 5a. This is reducing and then multiplying all the tops and multiplying all the bottoms. Okay, so example 2. Okay, show you a different way to do it. One thing you could do is just multiply across first, and then we'll reduce. Okay, so 6 times 4 is 24. R times r squared is r cubed. S times s is s squared. Okay, and I have a t on top, t squared. On the bottom, 5 times 3 is 15. S squared times s is s cubed. And t times t squared is t to the third. Okay. Now that I've multiplied across, now I just reduce. Okay. The bad thing is you're dealing with bigger numbers, but that's okay. 24 and 15, we see what they have in common. What they have? A 3. We can reduce by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So we get 8/5. And we go through r cubed. There's only an r cubed on top, so I leave it on top. S squared s to the third. There's 2 s's and 3 s's, so I reduce that and leaves me with an s on the bottom. There's more s's on the bottom, so you got to make sure it leaves on the bottom. And then we have t squared t cubed. There's more t's on the bottom, so the t stays on the bottom. So final answer is 8r cubed divided by 5st. Okay, final answer. So I'm giving you 2 different ways to do that one. It's kind of whatever you want to do. Okay. All right, let's move on to example 3. Okay, so again, if you look at your notes, okay, I'm moving down to example 3. I have x squared minus 5x minus 24, and I have the binomial 2x squared plus 6x. Okay, so now it gets a little bit tougher. Okay, this is a trinomial, this is a binomial. We can't just take pieces away and start reducing like that. Okay. But what we can do is factor. If you don't factor, you're going to get these all wrong. Okay, so we look to factor. Teach me how to factor. Teach me how to factor. Everybody factor. Everybody factor. Show your work when you factor. All right, so we look to factor. X squared we know is x and x. Factors of negative 24 that add up to negative 5. So it could be 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 4 and 6, 3 and 8. Oh, 3 and 8, yes. So I'm going to do negative 8 and positive 3. You can check your outers, 3x. Your inners is negative 8x. That's negative 5x. So that works out perfect. Okay. Then on the bottom, we have a binomial. Anytime we have a binomial, we look for our first rule of factoring. Our first rule of factoring is don't talk about factoring. No. The real rule is we look for a GCF. 2x squared plus 6x. Do you see something that they're both divisible by? What do you guys see? What, a 2x? I can take a 2x out. And now that leaves me with two terms. So I have two terms inside. I have an x, because 2x times x is 2x squared. And divide this by 2x, that leaves me with a 3. Okay? Now, binomials reduce binomials. Monomials reduce monomials. Okay? So I have a binomial that's exactly the same. These guys reduce. Okay, and now what I'm left with is my final answer. And guys, I'm running out of room, so I'm going to write it over here. My final answer is x minus 8 over 2x. X minus 8 over 2x. This is a binomial. This is a monomial. They don't reduce each other. Okay, the 8 and the 2 don't reduce. These x's don't reduce. You either cross out the whole binomial or nothing. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the next one. All right, so the next one we're going to work on is number 4. I have y cubed minus xy squared all over y squared minus xy. All right, so I've written it on a separate sheet, little whiteboard here. The first thing we always look for is GCF. So we look for the GCF on top. Y cubed y squared, I can take out ay squared. Okay, and what I'm left with now is y minus x. Okay. Same thing on the bottom. I got y squared minus xy. They have y's in common, so I can take a y out. And now I'm left with that y minus x. Okay. Now, binomials reduce binomials. Monomials reduce monomials. I have two binomials. Karate chop them. Chop, chop. Those are gone. Okay. Now, these are monomials. These reduce each other. I have y squared divided by y. My final answer is y. Okay. Questions on that one? That one's easy. Next, number 5. I got 15 minus 3x over x squared minus 25. Okay. First thing I do on top, I look for a GCF. What is 15 and 3 divisible by? Take a 3 out. That leaves me with 5 minus x. Okay. On the bottom, x squared minus 25, that's a difference of squares. So I factor that, okay? The idea is this is like x squared plus 0x minus 25, okay? Factors, x and x. Factors of negative 25 that add up to 0. One's a plus 5 and one's a minus 5, okay? All right, so I look. That is not quite like these two, okay? And in fact, it looks different, okay? So usually what I do, this is what we call additive inverse, where it's backwards and there's a minus in between. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this as negative x plus 5, okay? Now, when I rewrite it, it still kind of looks like either one of these, but there's a negative in front, okay? So the trick is take out a negative, factor out a negative. So this is 3 is really negative 3, okay? And now change all these signs. So that's a positive x minus 5 all over that x plus 5, x minus 5. So the only thing I did is I took out a negative on top and put it out in front with the 3, okay? So now I definitely see something that's the same. I got x minus 5's karate chop, and I'm left with negative 3 all over x plus 5. So final answer. Negative 3 over x plus 5. Okay. You guys have any questions with that one? Next, number 6. Do you see some GCFs here? Those are my z's, guys. That's z squared w minus z squared all over z cubed minus z cubed w. Those are my z's because they look like 2's. All right. So GCF, what do you guys see? Take out a z. squared. Now, I'm left with two terms. I have w and then minus 1 on the bottom. Take out a z cubed. And now I'm left with two terms. So you got to have a placeholder here. Z cubed divided by z cubed is 1 minus w. Okay, do you see that additive inverse again? I always rewrite this as negative w plus 1. And now I can take the negative out. Okay, so I have z squared, w minus 1 on top. Now I can take this negative and put it in front with the z cubed. And now I have w minus 1. Just change those two signs. Okay? W minus 1, karate chop. Z squared, z cubed. There's more z's on the bottom. 1 on top, and now it's negative. Okay, so z squared, z cubed, negative z cubed on the bottom. It still stays negative, and there's more z's on the bottom, so I got to leave the z on the bottom. Final answer for number 6. All right, gang, let's look on number 7. Okay, any questions? Email me. I can send you a video. All right, gang, you want to do another one? Let's do another one here. We got number 9. Oh, what's going on here? Do you need help? Oh, we got a Chicago Bears player. Watch out. Oh, no, it's... Oh, I got tackled. Oh. Oh my gosh. I'm glad I didn't land on your leg, dude. Oh my gosh. Oh. We'll leave that in there. Oh. Oh. All right. Let's try this again. All right. Whew. They got me. Now we're doing number 9. I have no idea why 7 and 8 are on there. It must have got misnumbered. Now we're doing division. I hope not to get tackled again. All right, so when we take a look, I have 4xy over 15a cubed b cubed divided by 2xy squared and then 5ab cubed, okay? What we want to do is we want to invert and multiply. We want to take this guy and flip. So we're going to flip this guy, okay? So we call that inverting and multiplying by the reciprocal. So you've heard that before. So I have 4x squared y. I have 15a cubed b cubed. That has not changed. It's this guy that changes, okay? The 5ab cubed goes on top, and then the 2xy squared goes on the bottom, okay? So now this is where you can reduce, you can multiply across, and then reduce. It's kind of whatever you want to do, okay? Whatever you prefer. Let's reduce. The 5 and the 15 is 3. A and a cubed, the a's reduced, leaves me an a squared on the bottom. B cubed, those guys cancel. 4 and 2, those guys reduce, so that gives me a 2. X squared x cancels, gives me an x on top, and y squared leaves me with a y. I like to circle the things that are left. That kind of helps me see what's left on top. I have a 2x on top. And on the bottom, I have a 3a squared y. Usually, if we have a bunch of terms, I usually write them in alphabetical order. Okay, just kind of helps them out. All right, gang. Whew. Let's move on to the next one. I'm skipping over 10. I don't think we need to do 2 of those. Again, you're going to get the idea. We're going to take that second fraction. Again, it's division. We're going to flippy flip. Okay. Now, when we flip, we're also going to factor. So flip and factor, okay? So I've got y plus 5. We stay that on top. Y squared minus 4y minus 5, that can factor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and factor that. Factors of y squared are y and y. Factors of negative 5 that add up to negative 4 are negative 5 and 1. Okay. Times y plus 1 goes on top. So this was in the numerator. Now it was in the denominator. Now it's in the numerator. And now we factor this guy. Okay. Now factors of -5 that add up to plus 4. That's y plus 5 and y minus 1. And now I look to see what reduces. Okay. Numerators reduce denominators. Binomials reduce binomials. Y plus 5s cancel. I got a y plus 1 canceling. Okay. And I have nothing on top, but I got to keep that placeholder. So I got to have a 1 on top. And then on the bottom, I have this y minus 5. And I have a y minus 1. Okay. Erase that guy real quick. All right. There we go. So that's number 11. Flip and factor. So we're flipping this guy, the second fraction. See how that's been flipped? Okay, final answer. Woo! All right, last one. I'm hurting. You guys tackled me. Number 12. Oh, doctor. Not too bad. Okay. Again, FF, flip, flip. Flip and factor. Factor this one. Flip and factor. There we go. So this one stays the same, but I'm going to factor. Okay. X and X. Factors of -3 that add up to -2, I got as -3 and plus 1. 4x squared. There is no GCF, but it is a difference of squares. 4x squared is 2x and 2x. And then factors of -9 are plus 3 and minus 3. Okay. All right. This is where it gets tough. 2x squared minus x minus 3 is in the denominator. Now it's going to be moved to the numerator. Flip it. Okay. So let's factor it. Factors of 2x squared are 2x and x. Factors of -3 could be 3 and 1, 1 and 3. I got to get it so it adds up to -x when I do my outers and inners or smiling nose of SpongeBob. So I'm going to put a 3 here and a 1 here. And this is going to be negative and this is positive. So that this gives me a positive 2x. The inners gives me a negative 3x. And that's a -x. So it works out perfect. Okay. The last one, I don't like how it's written. I'm going to rewrite this as a -x squared plus 9. Okay. I always write it in descending order. And now that negative, I can take out that negative, and that leaves me with x squared minus 9. Okay. X squared minus 9 can be written as a factor. So I'm going to write that just underneath because I'm running out of room. Factors of x squared are x and x. Factors of -9 are plus 3 and minus 3. Okay. So this is what I got so far. Okay. I went ahead and factored these two guys. I flipped this guy to make it -x squared plus 9. I took out a negative, and then I factored it further. Okay. And now I'm just going to start karate chopping stuff. All right, what do we see? I see an x. I see an x minus 3. I see a 2x minus 3. Okay. And unfortunately, these x plus 1s are on top. They don't cross each other out. So I'm going to leave that as x plus 1, or x plus 1 quantity squared. Okay. And then on the bottom, I've got a 2x plus 3. And I also have a negative. And I also have an x plus 3. That one's kind of a lot to deal with here. So final answer, I have x plus 1. Final answer, I have x plus 1 squared. That's x plus 1, or x plus 1 quantity squared. I have a negative sign, I have 2x plus 3, and I have x plus 3. Final answer. All right, gang, I'm going to skip over 13. I think you're getting the hang of it. If not, again, I can always give you more examples online. Just send me an email. Let's finish up with number 14. Okay. So I've got c squared minus 6c minus 16. I have c squared minus d squared divided by 8c minus c squared, and I have c plus d. Okay. The first thing is, I don't like how that one's written, so I'm going to rewrite that as negative c squared plus 8c, because I know that's that additive inverse again, so I'm going to be able to take out a negative. Okay, so let's go ahead and flip and factor. I'm flipping and factoring this guy, and I'm going to factor this one. Okay, so c squared is c and c. Negative 16 would be what? 8 and 2. So negative 8 and plus 2. Okay. C squared. There's a difference of squares. So I have c and c. Factors of negative d squared are plus d and minus d. Huh? Somebody's not happy. C plus d goes on top. So I'll put c and d on top. And then I'm going to go ahead and factor out a negative c here. So I have negative c, and then I have c minus 8. So negative c times c is negative c squared, and negative c times negative 8 is a plus 8. Okay, 8c. So it works out perfect. Okay, now we karate chop. Let me grab my red marker. Karate chopping. So karate chop, I see a c minus 8. I see a c plus d. Okay. And then I don't really see anything else we can chop. Okay. This is a monomial. This is a binomial. So I can't do the c's. Okay. You take the whole c plus 2 or nothing. Okay. So final answer. I end up with c plus 2. And on the bottom, I have a negative c. And I have that c minus d. Final answer. Okay. So final answer. C plus 2 over negative c and c minus d. Okay. All right, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. If you guys have questions, let me know. Watch out for kids tackling you, I guess. Have a great day.